Okay, is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, shall we wait for 5 more minutes? If anybody is joined, that's okay. Otherwise, we'll continue. So meanwhile, I'll mention previously you asked me the day one, I think I mentioned few books. Okay, these are the books. Okay, anyhow, you can note down. These are the books that is really helpful for your network theory syllabus, GATE network theory syllabus. One is Alexander Sadik, Fundamentals of Electric Circuits. The next one is Hayden Kemerly, Engineering Circuit Analysis by Hayden Kemerly. And next one is Networks and Systems by Rai Chaudhary. And the next one is Network Analysis by Van Valkenburg. Network Analysis by Van Valkenburg. These are the four textbooks. These are the four useful textbooks for your network theory gate point of view. We'll wait for another just 2 minutes and we'll start the session. Roll number 45, you please mute yourself. Okay, I think okay, every day generally 5:30 to 7. Class timings are 5:30 to 7, but only in the special days. Generally festivals are holidays, but yesterday we are unable to take the class. Just before the festival, everybody is busy with their work. Okay, so that is the reason why mid of the day I'm fixing this class. So if anybody wants to go to the temple also, they can go in the morning time and evening time. Generally afternoon 12 o'clock. So majority of the people at their home. So that is the reason why we are fixing the class. Let me start the session. Okay, and utilize this opportunity and remind me at the end of session. I have to note down the attendance. At least one of you remind me that sir, you have to download the attendance. Okay, just before closing the sessions, remind me so that I can download that attendance and I can share with the administrative people. Okay, thank you. Shall I start continuing?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll start. Okay, anyhow, this session is recorded. So anybody is able to see that previous recorded video? I think it is there, right? Are you able to download and able to see it again?
Yes, sir.
Right. This is also you can do it for the benefit of your friends. Okay. Okay. So all these fundamentals we have seen, the Ohm's law and everything. This is another good notes of one of friends' notes. Okay. Okay, so previously we have seen some absorption. The screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So in the last class, even we have made one calculation. What do you mean by, sorry, what do you mean by absorb and what do you mean by delivery? Okay, so here is the symbol. Here you just look into it. Okay, here you just look into it. It is absorbing. Okay, it is absorbing means current is entering into that. So it is the source absorption or absorption. It can absorb the power, whatever. So here the delivery. So delivery means current is out from this source. Okay, so this can say as it is delivery. See, when current is entering at positive terminal, element is absorbing the power. Okay, current is entering at positive terminal means current is absorbing. Element is absorbing power. When current is leaving from the positive terminal, element is delivering the power. These are the simple basic terms because these things, these conventions are very important while solving the problems. Okay. See here, you just see find power of each element of the circuit shown. Okay. So sometimes whenever we have a time, we'll try to solve the problems. We can improve our knowledge in the network theory only by solving more number of problems. Okay, by solving more number of problems. Find power of each element of the circuit shown. So here V1 minus V2 is equal to 2 volts is mentioned that okay. This is the circuit. So this is a V1 and this is a V2 and this is the V3. Okay, here is the circuit. Okay, so now we can solve this. How this first equation can be written? V1 minus V2 is equal to 2 volts. V1 minus V2 is equal to 2 volts. So this is the node V1 and this is the node V2. The difference of these two node voltages is 2 volts. So V1 minus V2 is equal to 2 volts. So V1 is at the higher potential. Okay, V1 is at the higher potential than V2. So V1 minus V2 is equal to 2 volts. And V1 voltage is already mentioned as 10 volts. Is already mentioned here. How V1 voltage is 10 volts? See, what is the V1? V1 means the point at this terminal junction. Okay, this is the junction. So from this point to the ground, the potential difference is equal to 10. This is the point at 10 and this is at 0. The difference is 10. So V1 is at 10 and V1 minus V2 is equal to 2. So your V2 is equal to 8 volts. So what about V3? Okay, what about V3? So this is the upper loop equation. If you can look at your V3 minus V1 is equal to 3 volts. So this is the convention. This is at the higher potential. Your V3 is at higher potential because current is coming from this end. You just look at here also. Why V1 is at higher terminal? Higher voltage terminal you can call as. Why? Because current is coming from V1 source. Current is coming from V1 to V2. So always current flows from higher potential to lower potential or lower potential to higher potential. Current is flowing from, what is the flow of current direction? What is the current flow direction? Nobody is there. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
What is the current flow direction? Higher potential to lower potential or lower potential to higher potential?
Higher to lower.
Higher to lower. So current is flowing in this direction means V1 is at higher potential, V2 is at lower potential. That is the reason why we have written your V1 minus V2 is equal to 2 volts existing. So here also current direction is from V3 to V1. So this 11 amperes, you just look at this 11 amperes from V3 to V1. So V3 is at higher potential and V1 is at lower potential. The difference is 3 volts. Your V3 minus V1 is equal to this 3 volts. So already V1 is known to us. So V3 is equal to 3 plus V1, which is equal to 13 volts. Okay. Now all the voltages are calculated. Your V1 is 10 volts and V2 is 8 volts and V3 is 13 volts. Good. Now calculate the powers. Okay. So power through this 4 amperes source. Power through this 4 ampere source. What is the voltage across this one? Voltage across V2, V2 to the ground. The voltage is this point to this ground. The voltage is V2. What is the voltage value of V2? What is the voltage value of V2 here? V2 value is how much?
8 volts.
Yeah, V2 is 8 volts. So your power is V into I, 8 into 4, 32. Whether it is delivered or absorbed, it is delivered. Why? Because current direction in this way. So it is coming out. So it is power is delivered. Coming to power through 6 ampere source. Now what is the voltage across this one? V3. What is V3? V3 value is 13. 13 into 6, 78. 78 watts. It is delivered. Next, 5 amperes. So 5 amperes is this is a 5 amperes direction. This is the 5 amperes direction. So what is the potential difference across it? Potential difference across it is this is 8 and this is 13. Potential difference across it is 5 volts. That 5 volts and to 5 amperes is 25 watts. And next one is 11. Okay, this 11 amperes. So this 11 amperes is, and the what is the potential difference across this one? This is the 3 volts. 11 into 3 is 33. So like that we can find out the power, whether it is delivered or absorbed, means whether the source is coming out from it or entering into that. Okay, so based upon that, when it is entering into that, then it is absorption, and when it is current direction is coming out of it, then we can say so power is delivered. Okay, so now we will go to the work done or energy stored is nothing but power into time. Okay, work done or energy stored, that can be called as power into time. That is general mechanical term, power into time. Same as in the electrical terminology also, power into time. So integration of dt from 0 to t. So p into integration of dt from 0 to t. T is the time interval. Okay, next we can classify the elements. In the previous class we have seen again with the examples. Now we can go through them. So the classification of elements, we have active elements and passive elements, unidirectional elements and bidirectional elements, linear and non-linear elements, time variant and time invariant elements, lumped and distributed elements. We will just go through them. A few of the things we have already seen in the previous classes. At a glance, we'll go to all these fundamental things. Okay. In the elements, we have the active elements and passive elements. Okay. In the active elements, we have independent elements and dependent elements. In the independent elements, we have a ideal and practical. In the dependent, we have seen voltage controlled voltage source, voltage controlled current source, current controlled current source, current controlled voltage source. The practical sources, voltage and current. In the ideal sources also, voltage and current. In the passive, I already told you, active means voltage sources and current sources. The sources, passive means absorptions, resistance, inductance, capacitance. In the resistance, linear resistance, non-linear resistance. In the inductance, linear, non-linear. In the capacitance, linear and non-linear. So what do you mean by linearity, non-linearity? We have seen if the VI characteristics means output to input is proportionality, means it is a linear zone. If they are not proportional, it is under non-linear zone. Okay, the resistance also some linear zone will be there, non-linear zone will be there. So as far as your voltage current characteristics are proportional to each other, then it is under linear zone. If they are not proportional, it comes to the non-linear zone. So active elements. When element is capable of delivering energy independently for infinite time, or which the element is having property of internal amplification, then the element is called the active element. That's what in the previous classes I told you. This is your voltage source and current source. Okay, which is like a source. So infinite time, which independently, which can deliver the energy independently without dependent on any other source. That particular source, particular voltage source and current source, those are called as active elements. The screen is visible, right? And you are following my lecture?
Yes, sir.
Right. Next, passive element is when the element is not capable of delivering energy independently for infinite time, then the element is passive elements, such as your resistance, inductance, capacitance, transformer, and all these examples. Resistance is a property of the, what do you mean by resistance? Even that definition is also there. Resistance is a property of the resistor which opposes the flow of current, that we know. The power formula for power also we have seen, which can be called as V into I, which is equal to I square R, or V square by R also. In the previous class I mentioned. Anyhow, I am going to share these notes with you. So yesterday's notes, today's notes, everything I am going to share to your WhatsApp group. Okay. Simply, a resistor is connected to a voltage source like this. What is the power delivered in it? Power dissipated in the resistor is nothing but I square R. What is the energy? Energy is equal to power into time. So I square RT. So your resistance is equal to rho L by A, where rho is the resistivity. Your resistivity is very low for the conductor, medium for the semiconductor, and very high for the insulators. Resistivity depends upon the material nature. So in fact, it is 0 for superconductor. For a conductor, resistivity is very less. For superconductor, it is almost like 0. So what is this? R is equal to R naught into 1 plus alpha delta T. Your resistance value varies with the temperature, where alpha is the coefficient of linear expansion. Okay, where alpha is the coefficient of linear expansion, which is also known as temperature coefficient. Okay, with respect to temperature, the resistance value will change. So we know about the Ohm's law. So V is equal to IR at a constant temperature. Generally, while we defining the Ohm's law, we'll call as at constant temperature. Why at constant temperature? Because your resistance value will change with respect to temperature. It may get effect. So that is the reason why we have to call as at constant temperature. So linearity, non-linearity. Once again, I'm telling you, we have seen in the previous class when the slope is constant. Based upon that, okay, based upon slope, we can tell why slope. The output to input characteristics can be reflected in terms of slope. What is your slope? Slope is nothing but dy by dx, change in y coordinates to the change in x coordinates. Okay, so that is the reason why when the slope is constant or not constant, that we can tell here. So unidirectional element. So bidirectional element. The best example is diode. Diode conduction is possible only in one direction. So that is the reason why diode can be called as the unidirectional. The case of resistor, the current can be allowed in both the direction. In the case of inductor and capacitor also, current can be allowed in both the direction. But in the case of diode, current can be allowed only in one direction. So it is a unidirectional. So in the other direction, it is a open circuit. What is open circuit? Open circuit can offer infinite resistance. Short circuit means just combining this terminal to this terminal. The potential difference across that point is 0 and resistance is also equal to 0. So your inductor. So L is equal to N pi by I. In the previous class we have seen. So group of flux lines. So your inductance is proportional to the flux. Your flux is proportional to the current through it. Okay, and number of turns. Okay, number of turns. Your flux is proportional to the number of turns. So your L is equal to N pi by I. You know your Faraday's electromagnetic induction. Your E is equal to minus N into d pi by dt. Induced EMF is proportional to rate of change of flux, and it is also proportional to the number of turns. Y negative sign is, according to Lenz's law, effect opposes the original cause produced in it. Okay, dynamically induced EMF. Dynamically induced EMF means your flux changing with respect to time, as current is changing with respect to time. In the case of AC, your flux also proportional to the current. It is also changes with respect to time. So this is a statistically induced EMF. In the case of transformer, dynamically induced EMF, the AC machines. So these fundamentals, we're already familiar with all these fundamentals. Okay. This what? Your L is equal to N pi by A. Just now I mentioned. Okay, this is the source. Source is connected to your current. This is alternating current. Your current is changed with respect to time. Okay, your L is equal to 10 pi by I. When I is 10%, your flux is 10%. I already mentioned your flux is proportional to the current. So from this, your V is equal to L into di by dt. Okay, here is the expression V is equal to L into di by dt. So inductor does not allow sudden changes in the current. Inductor does not allow sudden changes in the current V is equal to Li into di by dt. When inductance of the inductor depends on the current magnitude, then the inductor is called as a nonlinear inductor. This is not okay. Your V is equal to L into di by dt and your I is equal to 1 by L into integral V dt. So in the previous class, I already mentioned your network theory is nothing but a story of a family consisting of 5 members, 5 elements such as voltage source, current source, like father and mother, and your resistance, inductance, capacitance, brother, and 2 sisters of inductance and capacitance. I already mentioned that resistor could not store any energy. It dissipates only energy, but inductor and capacitor, they can store the energy in the form of magnetic and electric fields. Inductor can store the energy in the form of magnetic field, and the capacitor can store the energy in the form of electric field. Okay, and one more point. In addition to that, I want to add one more point. Apart from that, that is your resistor, it doesn't have any memory. Okay, but your inductor and capacitor, they are having memories. These points will stress in the transients. These are the fundamental points. These are the fundamental input points. Based upon that, we have to tackle the problems in transients. I want to stress this point here. Your inductor and capacitor having memory, but your resistor doesn't have any memory. That means at t is equal to 2 seconds, what is your resistor? That's it. At t is equal to 3 seconds, it won't affect your t is equal to 2 to 3. But coming to your inductor and capacitor, some t is equal to 0 minus t is equal to 0 plus, that initial conditions is having some weightage in the case of inductor and capacitor, but it doesn't have any impact on the resistor. Okay. So inductor can behave like open circuit in the beginning and short circuit at the end. You have to remember this is also, these points are very important while we have to tackle to the transients. The inductor initially behaves like a open circuit, and finally means in the steady state it behaves like a short circuit. So how to remember this point, I'll tell you. Okay, in the initial time means initially, initially means let's keep t is equal to 0. Okay, L into di by dt, right, for the linear Li by t. When t is equal to 0, 1 by 0 is infinite. Your V is equal to infinite. V is equal to infinite means it's an open circuit. Okay, V is equal to infinite means it's an open circuit. And it acts like a short circuit in the steady state or final state. That means t is equal to infinite, L into I by t, 1 by infinite is 0. Voltage is equal to 0 means it's a short circuit. Yes or no? See, for open circuit, voltage is infinite and current is 0. For short circuit, current is infinite and voltage is 0. Okay, so that is the reason why you just substitute these values in the initial stage means just assume and put t is equal to 0. In the final state means just t is equal to infinite. So these are the characteristics of the inductor. Inductor doesn't allow sudden changes of current. Just now I mentioned the same point he mentioned. Since to allow sudden changes in current, infinite voltage is required, which is not possible. These points just now we discussed. Next, capacitance. In the previous class also we discussed at any instant. For the inductor it is the current, for capacitor it is voltage. Okay, for inductor it is flux and capacitor it is charge. At any moment, charge dissipated is proportional to the voltage applied across a conductor, across a condenser or capacitor. Q is proportional to V, Q is equal to CV, where C is the capacitance, which is a physical property of the material, which is equal to Q by V. Q is the charge deposited on it divided by the V is the potential difference applied across it. Q is the charge deposited on it divided by potential difference applied across it. This is the charge deposited, your plus and minus symbols, and V is the potential applied across it, your C by V, which is nothing but Farad F. And your I is equal to C into dV by dt, and your V is equal to 1 by C into integral I dt. Okay, I is equal to C into dV by dt, and your V is equal to 1 by C into integral I dt, which I mentioned already. I mentioned in my previous class, your resistor and capacitor both are complement in nature, exactly converse. Okay, your V is equal to L into dI by dt. Here I is equal to C into dV by dt. Okay, your V equal to 1 by C into integral I dt, where your I is equal to 1 by L into integral V dt. Okay, so exactly these two are complementary in nature. Where your inductor doesn't allow sudden changes in current, where your capacitor doesn't allow sudden changes in voltage. Exactly converse in nature. Same example. So similarly, your capacitor initially acts as a short circuit, finally acts as open circuit. Okay, initially acts as short circuit and finally acts as open circuit. Exactly reverse the case of inductor. Okay, exactly reverse the capacitor. Short circuit is open circuit, in that case open to short circuit, your inductor and capacitor. Your C is equal to epsilon A by D. In the previous class I already mentioned, your epsilon is epsilon naught. The case of free space or air or vacuum, whose value is equal to 8.85 into 10 to the power of minus 12 farad per meter. The previous class I mentioned all these things. Active elements is your sources. So here sources, what is a practical source and what is ideal source? I'll tell you. The first one is the ideal voltage source here. Okay, the voltage source is represented in the sources, the active elements. So we are taking the voltage source. In the voltage source, in the first we will see what are the characteristics of ideal voltage source. Next we will go to the what are the characteristics of practical voltage source. Right. This is the ideal voltage source. What do you mean by ideal voltage source? Ideal voltage source is having zero internal resistance. Remember this point. Okay, your ideal voltage source is having zero internal resistance and your voltage is always constant, whatever may be the change in current. Okay, your voltage remains constant. 5 volts means always 5 volts, whatever may be the change in time. Okay, your voltage remains constant, your change in time and current. Coming to the practical voltage source, it has some drooping characteristics. It has some internal resistance. So the drop, your V is equal to this Vs minus I into R. The drop, it has internal resistance. As current increases, then what happened? Your IR drop will increases. So it is having some drooping characteristics. Some drooping will be there. The drop. Okay, that is the difference between ideal voltage source and practical voltage source. In general, do we have a practical voltage source or ideal voltage source? In general, we are having ideal voltage source or practical voltage source. Anybody? Okay, I'll give an example, by that you can tell. Ideal student and practical student, the differences I'll tell. So ideal student means from the class 1, from 9 o'clock to class 7, one day maybe let's say 7 classes till 5 o'clock. 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, he will not offer any resistance, so that morning 9 o'clock his response and evening 5 o'clock his response will be the same, complete constant. He's active in the morning 9 o'clock, the same in the evening 5 o'clock. He's the ideal student. Practical student, morning 9 o'clock is okay, 10 o'clock is having little disturbance, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. By evening 5 o'clock he'll not be there in the class if you continuously okay teaching him. So similarly, if you continuously giving the current to the source, your ideal voltage source is remains maintaining your voltage remains constant, but practical voltage source, it is having some drop. Yes or no? Some drop will be there, some losses will be there. So similarly, for the student in the morning 9 o'clock to evening 5 o'clock, will not maintaining the same potential. Some drop will be there. That is the difference. Okay. So in general, do we have the ideal or practical sources?
Practical.
Practical. Okay. So if I teach for 1 hour, it is okay. If I teach for 1.5 hours also, maybe okay. If I teach for 2 hours, you people will majority of the people will left. Beyond 2 hours, almost except 1 or 2, nobody will be there. So that means there will be the saturation point. So afterwards, what happened? You will not receive whatever maybe the input I can give. That current means your input, the concepts which I can give, you are unable to receive because of more losses. That's what to the ideal to the practical. Okay, when two voltage sources are connected in series, we can add them V1 plus V2. They are connected in opposite way, the subtraction. So like that. When they are connected parallelly, your V1 is of course happen to be the V2. Okay. So find the value of current for the circuit shown below. Can anybody find out what is the current through this circuit? Can anybody tell what is the current through this circuit? First of all, is it possible, the circuit? What is the voltage across 5 ohms? Tell me. What is the voltage across 5 ohms? One is 20 volt source is there. Another is 10 volt source is there. So both are parallel to 5 ohms. Can we consider 20 volts or can we consider 10 volts? Which is contradictory in nature. Yes or no? So this type of circuits will not exist. So for that you can apply your KCL, KVL or whatever your nodal analysis, mesh analysis, or you can apply simply superposition theorem everywhere. You will not get any solution. So none is the answer. Okay. By looking at the circuit itself, you can tell when the two sources are connected in parallel, these two sources voltages must be same. Yes or no? The two sources voltages must be same. If their sources are not must be same, then this resistance should not be parallel in nature. It should be series in nature. Then the possibility is there. Then you can solve that problem. Okay. Instead of this 5 ohms is connected in parallel, if the 5 ohm is connecting between 20 volts to 5 volts, this 10 volts, this 5 ohm resistance, then the possibility is there. Then you can solve that problem. But here, the problem do not exist in nature. Okay, these two voltages must be same. Then if it is 10 volts and 10 volts, total voltage can be replaced as 10 volts. 10 volts, 5 ohms. The current is 10 by 5, which is 2 amperes. The possibility is there. Okay, but here the possibility is not there. Either 20 volts or 10 volts, but should not be different voltage sources connected in parallel to the same resistance. This is practically not possible. Yes or no? Do you understand this problem?
Yes, sir.
Right. I am going to the next one. So what is this problem here? So here also in this problem, so what we can do for the solving these problems, the two things we can do. One is we can go for source transformation. Okay, the source transformation can be done when resistance is in series with the voltage source. Okay, resistance is in series with the voltage source, but here your resistance is in parallel to the voltage source. Okay, 20 volts. So what we can do, we can just replace, and you are having your 5 ohms and 5 ohms. Why? Because out of 3 amperes, only 1 ampere is flowing through this one. So in the calculation wise, you just consider this 5 ohms and another 5 ohms thereby. So here your KVL can be satisfied in this. This is the 20 volts and this is another 10 volts and 10 volts. Your KVL, what is your KVL? Kirchhoff's voltage law. Algebraic sum of a voltage in a closed loop is equal to 0. So here also in this loop also it is satisfied. This is 20 volts and this is 1 ampere. So this is 20 volts and this is 20 volts. This is satisfied. If you neglect in the outer loop, then what happened? This is 20 volts, 10 volts and 10 volts. Altogether 20 volts and 20 volts. This is satisfied. So like that you can obtain the power in element. So next one is the current source. Okay, ideal current source means whatever may be the voltage, the current through it should be maintained constant. Okay, that is the ideal one. In the practical one, as the voltage increases, your current is having the drooping characteristics. Drop will be there. It will decrease like this. Okay. So coming to the voltage sources, voltage can be aided or added when they are connected in series. But coming to the current, current value can be added when they are connected in parallel. The parallel, if they are in opposite nature, instead of adding, subtraction can be done. The same way, the similar to the previous example, in the previously we have seen. So one resistance will be there, two voltage sources of different magnitudes are in parallel, which do not exist practically. Similarly, two current sources, okay, two current sources of different magnitudes, they do not exist parallel to a resistance. Why? Because whether it can consider 10 amperes or 20 amperes, which is not possible. So none has the answer. So solving this type of problems, okay, solving this type of problems. So this is 20 ampere source. In that one 10 amperes is going through 5 ohms, another 10 amperes is going through another 5 ohms. In that, if you want to calculate the power dissipated or everything through your KVL, KCVL, we can solve in it. And finally, we can obtain the source power or whatever individual powers we can calculate. So your KCL is, we have seen KVL. KVL is algebraic sum of voltage in a closed loop is equal to 0. Similar to that, Kirchhoff's current law is your entering current is equal to leaving current. That is, there is no current at any junction point. There is no current at any junction point, your I1 minus I2 plus I3 minus I4 plus I5 minus I6 is equal to 0. Let's say entering terminal, entering current is positive, so leaving current is negative. Entering is I1 positive, leaving is I2 negative. Entering is I3 positive, leaving is I4 negative. So like that you can give the conduction. Simple example. So we are having two principles. We are having two basic principles while solving the problem. One is current dividing rule and next one is voltage divider rule. One is current divider rule and next one is voltage divider rule. These two methods can be utilized effectively to solve the problems. First, let me tell you current dividing rule. Current through one resistor is, to find out the current, let's say current through I1. In order to find out current through I1, it should be opposite resistance into total current by total resistance. I1 is equal to I into opposite resistance is, what is opposite resistance to R1? It's R2 by total resistance is R1 plus R2 into total current into I. Let's say if you want I2 means, for I2 means opposite resistance is R1, opposite resistance by total resistance into total current. So this is the method. The same thing is applied even for inductor. The capacitor, it is in opposite in nature. Similar to that, your voltage divider rule. Your voltage divider rule is proportionate to that. In the case of current, reciprocal to that. Okay, but in the case of voltage, proportional to that. So this is the total voltage Vs. In that, this is V1, this is V2, this is V3. Then if you want to calculate V1, so your V1 is equal to I into R1. Your V2 is equal to I into R2 and your V3 is equal to I into R3, where I is equal to Vs by R1 plus R2 plus R3. So like that, we can use voltage divider rule and current divider rule. By using the voltage divider rule, the total voltage of Vs, okay, let's say this is 100 volts. In that, this is 20 ohms, this is 30 ohms, this is 50 ohm. So proportionate to that, the voltage across 20 ohms is 20 volts, voltage across 30 ohms is 30 volts, and voltage across 50 ohms is 50 volts. Out of 100, it will be distributed according to proportionate values of their resistances. The case of current divider rule, it is exactly opposite in nature. Opposite resistance by total resistance into total current. These are the two effective methods which we can use to solve the problems. So next topic is lumped and distributed parameters. Lumped means they are concentrated at one point. Distributed means they are distributed throughout the section. Okay, so another important aspects to solve the problems are the equivalent resistances. So in the equivalent resistance, how to calculate these equivalent resistances? So infinite resistances. This is one example. This is infinite ladder is having 1 ohm, 1 ohm, 1 ohm connecting like this. This is infinite ladder. This is the R input like this. So to consider this R input, what we can do, this is the R input and this is R input. So like that we have multiple things will be there. So if you want the total equivalent resistance, this one plus this entire combination is another R input. This is R input into 1 by 1 plus R input, because this entire combination is parallel to this one. So this entire combination is R input and this is parallel to 1. So this R input into 1 by 1 plus R input. When two resistors are connected in parallel, what is the equivalent resistance? R1 into R2 by R1 plus R2. Let's say your R1 is R in, your R2 is 1. R in into 1 by 1 plus R in. Plus 1 is this one. So this is entire input resistances. So that can be also called as R input. So if you want to solve this one, you can get a quadratic equation. If you take LCM and you will have a quadratic equation. If you solve that quadratic equation, then finally you will have the value of 1 plus or minus, okay, minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a1. Formula will be there, right? By using that formula, you will get 1 plus or minus root 5 by 2. 1 minus root 5 by 2 is not acceptable. Why? Because the resistance should be positive. So 1 plus root 5 by 2 is the value. So similarly, so equivalent resistances we can find out. So this to find the value of current I in this circuit. If you want to find out the current value of I in this circuit, first we have to identify. Okay, first we have to identify how these three resistances are connected. How these three resistances are connected. So if you just observe, these are connected between same pair of terminals. All these resistors are connected between same pair of terminals A and B. So all these resistors are connected the same pair of terminals A and B. So you can rearrange these resistors between A and B. You can rearrange these resistors between A and B so that the 6 ohms, 2 ohms and 3 ohms are connected in parallel. So in that, do not disturb these 2 ohms. Why? Because this is the current what you need to find out. Your 6 ohm and 3 ohm connected in parallel. The combination is 6 into 3 by 6 plus 3, which is 2 ohms. So another 2 ohms in parallel to this one. This is your 2 ohms and this is another 2 ohms is connected in parallel. So the circuit is 2 ohms and 2 ohms and the current is 110 ampere is here, another 4 ampere is here. What is the total current together? 10 ampere and another 4 ampere. This can be aided. Why? Because let's say one equivalent resistance will be there. This 10 amperes current is flowing through that. This 4 ampere current is also flowing through that. That means these two currents are adding each other. So the total current is 14 amperes. Out of this 14 ampere, this 2 ohm and 2 ohm are connected in parallel. Because the 6 and 3 combination is nothing but 2. Out of 14 amperes, 2 and 2. So they must be divided equally, 7 and 7. This is your current I and this is coming in the opposite direction. So you can call current through it is I is equal to minus 7 amperes. This current I is equal to minus 7 amperes. Do you understand this problem or can I repeat this one? Do you understand this problem or shall I repeat this one?
Repeat, sir.
Okay, I'll just repeat it. All of you understand. More some complexity is involved in this problem, but more application oriented. All of you please observe. In order to understand this problem, you must have to redraw this circuit. Okay, so once again I'm telling, if you are following this network theory class means you must have your notes. Okay, you have to write today's date and you have to follow that. You have pen and paper, you have to answer everything. Okay, so you have to rearrange this circuit. First of all, you must have to clear this concept that these three resistors are connected between same pair of terminals. So these three resistors are parallel resistors. These three resistors are parallel resistor. One is 6 ohm, one is 3 ohm, and the next one is 2 ohm. All these three resistors are connected parallel. The next point. One is 10 ampere. It is connected to this one across 6 ohms. Another is 4 amperes connected parallel to your 3 ohms. Okay, do not disturb these 2 ohms because this is the current where we need to find out flowing through your 2 ohms. Here your 6 ohms and 3 ohms, these two are connected in parallel. What is the equivalent resistance? 6 is parallel to 3. What is the formula? R1 into R2 by R1 plus R2. So you can replace this 6 and 3 with another 2 ohms like this. What is the total current? This is 10 amperes. This is 4 amperes. The total current is together 14 amperes. Okay, the total current is 14 amperes. The two resistors are 2 ohms and 2 ohms. Okay, now tell me 14 amperes is the total current. You can use the current divider rule. If you have any difficulty, just use the current divider rule. So current through this one is opposite resistance is 2 into total current is 14 by total resistance is 2 plus 2, 28 by 4, which is 7. So similarly, current through this one, apply the current divider rule. Opposite resistance is 2, again total current is 14 and the total resistance is 2 plus 2. So 7. The current through this one is 7 and current through this is 7. Simply by looking at the circuit itself, we can tell that the two resistors are equal in magnitude. So definitely the total current can be equally splitted. So next topic is star to delta and delta to star. Okay, so just 5 minutes introduction only. I will give this star to delta and delta to star, and the remaining part of this discussion will discuss in the coming classes. Remaining part is, so what is star to delta and delta to star is, see, this is another technique, another important and beautiful technique to solve the network theory problems. If you have a complicated resistors, then we can convert them star to delta, delta to star, so that the complicated network can be again reduced to the equivalent circuits of series and parallel connections, and we can reduce them. Star to delta formula is R1 plus R2 plus R1 R2 by R3, and delta to star formula is R1 R2 by R1 plus R2 plus R3. So if you convert star to delta means you have to apply the formula R1 plus R2 plus R1 R2 by R3. If you want to convert the resistance of connected between R1 and R2 from star to delta. If it is delta to star, the problem is R1 R2 by R1 plus R2 plus R3. If you want to convert of delta to star of the resistance, equal resistance of R1 and R2. So the derivation will be there. Okay, anyhow, the derivation is not this is not academic discussion, so we are not looking for the derivation. Only we require the formula and solving procedure to solve the gate point of view questions. Okay, so that we will discuss in the next class, your star to delta and delta to star. That is one of the important technique to solve your problems. So let me download the attendance, and meanwhile, okay, I'll download the attendance in 2 minutes. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, you can any discussions, you tell to me. Do you have any doubts and discussions?
No, sir.
Let me download that. Rule number 2.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any doubts?
No, sir.
Any one of you? Let me check whether it is downloaded or not. Okay. Do you have any doubts? No doubts. Are you following my classes? Rule number 13.